Welcome to Undercity Commander, your source for EDH.
Good enough.
That works.
Bees.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Steven.
You might be wondering why we're podcasting about Magic the Gathering. And we might also be wondering that. Anyways, how did we start?
Right.
You're
How
taking
did
my
we
line,
start
bud.
playing Magic? So how did you guys start playing Magic? Because I know how I started playing Magic, and it was you guys. That might have sounded confusing, but you guys introduced me into it, and I started spending way too much money on cardboard. So I think my story starts in high school, along with Hunter's. It's a joint story.
Let Hunter tell that story.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. You tell your own story.
Hunter can tell his part of the story, and we'll come back to me.
Good. I'm looking out for you, Hunter.
It's
Got
fine.
you covered.
So, I got into Magic through Steven, and really at the same time as Jacob. We were all on the drum line, and we had an end of the year party. And Steven was playing this card game with another guy on the drum line, and I really don't even remember what kind of decks they were playing or anything. But Jacob had told me, "Hey, this is Magic, and we need to go get some cards and play." And I said, "Okay," and that really what started it all. Jacob, do you have anything to add to that?
Not too much. I think we went up to the local comic store, Clint's Comics, after that day, and we just looked through almost everything he had and started figuring out what cards did and how much we wanted to spend on Magic, which wasn't a lot at the time. And we bought some, I think, at least I bought a pre-constructed deck. It was a Simic deck, green-blue, +1/+1 counters. I don't know if you bought one, Hunter.
I had to wait because he didn't have much in stock, and I really wanted a black deck from what I'd heard about black. So I waited, and I ended up getting the 2010 core set black intro deck.
Nice. Yeah, his store was pretty popular. He was sold out a lot, and that's also where we met a lot of the local players and started getting into the community. But let's see that same story from a different point of view, Steven.
Shift now to Steven. So, if memory serves me right, the deck I was running was Esper Artifacts from around the Alara block.
Sounds
I
about
don't
right.
remember. I don't remember what the other guy was running, but I think it was blue-white something. Not control, just sort of beat down. What got me into it was about 5 to 7 years prior. I was working as a camp counselor, which means I am an absolute dork. And one of the people I worked with got me into it. I had never really heard of it before then, but he showed me like some of the rare cards, and I really liked the art. He gave me a starter deck, which at the time was just sort of a basic red to the face deck. I want to say with a bunch of cards from around Time Spiral and Cold Snap. Just, they weren't like great cards, but it was a good, like, straightforward starter deck. And he taught me how to play. And then after that, I didn't really have anyone to play with, so I stopped playing for quite a long time. But then I got back into it around the time that y'all saw us playing. And that's
Shaking off the rust.
where it all happened.
That's pretty cool because I remember we'd stay after school a lot, and I saw you looking at Magic cards online, but that was before I really got interested and learned how to play.
And now we're all addicted.
Yay, we're all dicks.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. Stay in milk. Go to school.
Only one of those is wrong.
Jacob, do you want to take us into the next segment?
Yeah, I think so. It kind of transitions with time because we played standard, went to a lot of tournaments for a while, just 60 card decks. We didn't really try too many other formats, and EDH wasn't very big at the time. But once EDH started picking up popularity, we decided to make some decks and try it out, and it turned out we really enjoyed it. Let's talk about why we like playing EDH and how it compares to some of the other formats and like standard. Hunter, what are your thoughts on EDH?
I think EDH was a natural progression for us because we were always playing Arch Enemy, and we were always playing multiplayer. And I remember hearing about EDH every now and then I didn't really get into it until the first Commander precons came out, and they had a pre-release at another local card store, and I bought the Kalya deck. And I loved it. And I actually ended up winning that little pre-release thing. And I was like, man, I was hooked after that. And what I really liked about it was the politics and the power level of the decks. And one thing that I like about it now that I've been playing a while is it's cheaper for me to play EDH. And I feel like I get more fun for my buck as if I were to play Modern or Legacy or Standard, because you have to constantly keep up with Standard. Modern, you have to mortgage your house for the mana base, and then don't even think about Legacy. So
Yeah, and
You have to mortgage other people's houses then.
yeah, right.
the EDH decks allow you to build with pretty much every card in the game.
Yeah, that was
except
another
for-
thing I liked about it.
except for like a minimal ban list. But with the other formats, your decks are pretty much obsolete after a certain amount of time, depending on the format you're playing. And in the community, there's a lot of like meta archetypes for decks, and if you're not running one of the popular top deck types, you're probably gonna lose. So that was kind of not fun if you didn't spend like a crap load of money or trade really valuable cards.
Or mortgage your house.
Or mortgage all of your neighborhood.
And even going back to what you said about the minimal ban list, if a play group doesn't like the ban list, it's not set in stone. You can choose to have house rules and play by your own ban list, because there isn't an official one set by Wizards of the Coast or whoever owns Magic right now. It's still Wizards, right?
Yeah, it's the Wizards. Hasbro owns Wizards.
Okay. I knew there was a change somewhere in the past. I just
Yeah.
didn't know what had changed.
Yeah, it's a really casual
yeah.
format. I think that's one of the appeals of it. It's really based around social play and less around the competitive aspects. It can be competitive, but it's really meant to be played socially and casually, and just have fun with.
Yeah, I love that it's whatever you want it to be.
Come with me and you'll see
A world of
why
pure
we all
imagination.
love playing Commander.
Yes. Steven, do you have any more thoughts on why you like Commander?
No, just interesting little show tunes turned Commander style.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go into current news and talk about Amonkhet spoilers.
That was the transition.
I know.
Can we get the Sports Center music intro? Can we license that?
I'm sure
I
that's
doubt it.
already licensed.
Yeah.
Ah, dang. Okay. Whatever. It's fine. We'll do it live.
Yes, we'll just do it live.
Yeah.
One card that I saw spoiled that I'm really excited about is Avon Mind Sensor reprint. It's 2 and a white for a 2/1 with flash and flying. It's a bird wizard. And it says if an opponent would search a library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. I've been wanting one of these for a while. I just haven't broken down and bought one, and I'm glad to get another chance to pull one from a pack. And I really love the new art.
Yeah, this art is really detailed. There's a lot going on in that picture. Got the glowing eyes and staff, and his outfit is really detailed. And I think a lot of the cards in this set are way more detailed than we've seen in Magic for a while. There's some detail like this in some of the really old sets, but for a while it's been a bit simpler than it is now. And that's one
I
of my
like how
favorite
it looks
parts.
like. I like how it looks like he's kind of wearing suspenders.
Yeah.
Adjustable
he's,
suspenders.
Avon Hillbilly.
Yes.
Y'all thought you were gonna search your whole deck, huh?
No, not today.
Y'all's only searching the top 4.
Steven, there any spoilers you're particularly excited about?
It's all the spoilers, baby. Yeah. I'm particularly excited about Prowling Serpapard. It's one of the more recent spoilers that they put out. It's 2 green, so 3 total, for a 4/3. It can't be countered, and creature spells you control can't be countered. I like more creature-heavy decks.
Yeah.
So I think this one really lends itself well to that. Vexing Shusher was always one of my favorite ones. Spellbreaker Behemoth is another one. And also, it's just a cat snake. And whenever you're looking at the picture, it's like, oh, hey, it's got the face of a cat. And then you try to look more closely, and it's like, what's happening with this creature?
Yeah.
What is going on
I
here?
love the art on that. Because you can see like
Right.
cat arms and everything, but it's positioned like a snake and its body's really snake-like. I really like that card. And I love creature-based strategies too, so I love it.
That's right. So this one I'm excited about. Got good art, got good abilities. It's a decent body for its cost, if nothing else. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
Jacob, what about you? There any particular spoilers?
I'm having trouble deciding between Gravedigger and what was it? The dragon. What's the dragon's name?
Glorybringer.
Glorybringer, the bringer of glory.
The Digger of Graves.
And the Digger of Graves. So these two cards are incredible for different reasons. Glorybringer, we're seeing the full art card, and it just has so much detail like these others, and the dragon just looks so beast and has like breathing fire. Looks like he's burning something, someone, who knows.
Thatch roofed cottages. Sure.
Thatch roof cottages.
Burnating.
So Glorybringer says you may exert Glorybringer. That's a new, I don't know if we've talked about that yet. That's a new keyword for this set. It means you can exert him to do extra abilities during his attack, but he doesn't untap during your next untap step.
That's right. So it goes off whenever you declare him as an attacker, from what the wizard site said. So going off of that, like you would declare him as a dagger and also declare him exerting at the same time, and then your opponent would be able to, like, they would get priority.
Right. And so he's doing 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls if you exert him. And he's a 4/4 flying and haste. So he's a pretty big threat for 5 mana, 3 and 2 red. I think it's a pretty valuable card. And again, it just looks really cool. And then the reason I really enjoyed Gravedigger is because it's a reprint. We've seen the art. It's pretty good, but with this new art, it just kind of takes a whole new turn with the sand style, and you actually see like an embalmed body being pulled behind this guy. And he's got a lot of cool detail to him as well. I just think it's really good art for this reprint, and I'm interested in it.
Yeah, I really never liked the old art, and it's really cool to see some cool art coming back on it. And speaking of embalmed bodies, the embalm mechanic is really cool, I think.
Hey.
Segue.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew.
Embalm says, exile this card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a white zombie human warrior with no mana cost. Embalm only as a sorcery. And I just read the embalm off of Unwavering Initiate is why it's human warrior. So it's going to be whatever color and type the old card was. But I think it's a really
Just
neat...
a zombie in addition.
Yeah, basically it's going to be a zombie. And that's really all that it adds. And I think it's going to be a neat mechanic. It's going to be fun to play with.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's
all
like a
these
permanent
mechanics-
unearth.
All these mechanics
Yeah.
are great. I think it's going to be a fun set to play with.
Oh, you're right. It is like a permanent unearth. You're trading off, like, adding haste to it for it sticking around.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. Let's go into talking about the invocations, because they are really cool. The invocations are the masterpiece series for this set.
Can we just say right off the bat, I think everybody on the internet was happy about these. I don't think anybody was upset.
Oh, yes, of course.
Nobody-
Everyone loved it. Everyone loved it.
Nobody's jimmies were rustled.
Well, no one was upset about it. It's
Absolutely not.
funny you say that, because I was going to mention there's some controversy surrounding them.
So before you get into that, Hunter, what's an oh God, what is it even called? Invocation.
Invocation.
What is this? What are you
He
talking
explained
about?
it.
No, he didn't.
Harlow.
He didn't explain
Listen,
it enough.
he did.
Yeah, the invocations are just the masterpiece series for this set. the masterpieces were let's for Zendikar it was the what'd they call them? Expeditions.
Expeditions.
Yeah, expeditions. And then let's see, for Kaladesh they were just called masterpieces for Kaladesh, weren't they?
I think so.
I think so. So I was messing that up, but yeah, they're just the cool fancy reprints that aren't necessarily going to be legal and standard, with a cool new border.
Collectible cards. Not
Definitely.
that they're not already.
Oh,
Wizards stuffing money into random booster packs.
Yes.
on the low key, just sliding a $5 bill. Some of them
Yes.
$100 bill. And
Right.
others.
But as far as the controversy,
Enjoy this.
people aren't liking the font on the names, and people aren't liking the borders, and I don't. If you don't know what the card is from what it does, and you have to have the card name easily to read, then you haven't been playing Magic too long for most of these cards. And the cards aren't printed for people that played last week to have a cool, fancy new card. They're kind of a fun thing for collectors and people that have been playing for a long time.
And these are cards that are really iconic in Magic.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
Definitely.
really for collectors.
Yeah, even if you have just started playing, if you open up one of these packs and it's, say, at the extreme, this is your first pack you're opening, and you pull one of these bad boys, say your first pack, you open up the Invocation of Force of Will, just go ahead and know that I hate you. But also, yeah, you're not going to understand what it is. It may be a little hard to read. You may not even be able to read it, but you can read the text inside the block itself. But you're definitely going to notice that it's not like the other cards, and it'll be a good chance to open up a dialogue between like yourself and someone you know that's maybe been playing for a while. You can go up to them and say, hey, what is this card? What does this do? And if they know more about the history of Magic, then maybe they can talk to you about it. Maybe they can fill you in, tell you whenever they had experience with this card themselves, not the one you're currently holding that they hate you for, but the old one.
Yeah, or
It's probably just as expensive.
or they'll just say it's worthless and trade you for a forest, and you'll be mad at yourself. But
Exactly. Or they'll snatch it and they'll punch you in the face.
Oh,
They'll
man.
run away.
Yeah, I really like
Magic
them.
is brutal.
And I think they're so flavorful. I think it's the most flavorful style of card we've ever seen printed, because the whole thing is themed to Egypt, and not just the art or name of the card. It's the whole card looks like it came out of ancient Egypt.
Definitely.
yeah, and
It's something that they started to do with the masterpieces in the last set.
Yeah.
How it looked like the gilt wrought. But this one, it definitely captures the feel of like the setting and the world that they've put it in. I really think they did a good job with this.
I agree. And I don't see how else they would do it and make it as cool as it is without making the font how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the easy to read block text, something to point out is it's centered in there. That's
Yeah.
much different than normal.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Definitely.
personally am really excited I really hope to pull a counter spell or a cryptic command for as far as all the invocations go, because counter spell can go in any blue EDH deck and it looks really cool. And I've never owned a cryptic command, so I'm hope to pull one of those two, but I'll be happy with any of them. There any?
I think personally I'm holding for a Wrath of God. I think we use that in a lot of decks that we
Yeah.
build, so I really want one.
Yeah, that one looks cool.
I
Jacob?
really like
Mm-hmm.
the consecrated Sphinx art. It's really
Cool,
nice.
yeah.
There's so much detail in that. It almost looks like a Renaissance style painting. It's just really good. And
Yeah, that's a good
great
one.
card.
I guess we'll go on
Definitely.
to more controversy of this set.
Yay!
That were spoiled, the dual cycling lands. People just don't understand why they're rares, and because they come in taps.
That doesn't make sense though, because
No.
if you've been playing Magic for any amount of time, you know that the land types are very beneficial, because each of these are, let's say, like an island swamp. So if any card says you can find an island or you can find a swamp in your deck, you can find this card. And these also have cycling, so you can pay 2 to discard it and draw a card. This just is a really flexible card that will benefit any multicolored deck that it's in.
Definitely. And the cycling itself is a hard ability to counter. So say it's late game, you don't necessarily need the extra land, but you're hurting for card draw. You can cycle it. You cycle as an instant, if I'm not mistaken. And because it's an ability, it's really hard to find a counterspell for that. Now, I don't know if they're going to print more counterspells that will deal with something like that, but if it's just a hard counter, say we'll go back to counterspell itself, or force of will, like we were talking about earlier, you wouldn't be able to counter it because you're discarding it from your hand.
So yeah, I really like these lands. I'm really excited to get to use them. And I think another reason that people look past them is because they're looking for, oh, well, these aren't going to be playable after Standard. And while it's true, they might not be playable in Modern or Legacy, but they can't print cards that are going to be good in every set all the time. Like, I think these are going to be really fun to use in Standard, and I think they have a place in EDH, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be great in Commander.
And guess what? This is a Commander-themed podcast, and you've turned in to listen to us talk about Commander.
That's right.
We like them.
Speaking of our Commander-themed podcast,
Oh, on brand.
we're going to go into our future plans and speak about what we have in store for you all. So, there's a
So
possibility.
that's going to be fun.
Oh, maybe.
Wait, what?
It may not be fun.
That's not on brand. Don't listen to
That's
him.
up to the viewer. No, I don't know.
It will be fun.
What do we have in store for him, Jacob?
Well, right now, you're going to be listening to this probably on YouTube. We have a Facebook and a Twitter. We're going to have a SoundCloud. We're going to have a potential website in the future. And all of this is going to be linked together, so no matter where you found us, you'll be able to get to our other sites. We're going to have more podcasts, obviously. We're going to probably do this weekly. We're going to have some gameplay videos in the future of live matches. We're going to be doing EDH, obviously. We're potentially going to be doing some format variants for EDH. We'll see what we have in store when that comes around. That could be a fun thing that if we find a nice format variant that we enjoy playing, we could do a series on that. We're going to have deck techs in each of our podcasts where one of us breaks down a deck we've built that kind of goes along with what we've been talking about during the podcast. And some of the topics for those podcasts, we're thinking deck building processes so that you can kind of get a feel for how to build a deck if you've never done it or if you have little experience. We're going to go into tribal builds and adding flavor to your decks. Potential... nothing.
Just potential.
Just a lot of potential
Just
on this
potential.
channel.
General potential. Hold on there, friend. I don't think you mentioned all of the bomb-ass art that we're going to be throwing up on all of these sites.
That's right.
That's correct.
Steven, why don't you tell them about that bomb art?
Oh, no. I did this to myself.
You did.
That's you.
So, if you look at our Facebook and our Twitter, and possibly our YouTube already,
Yep.
Whenever you're listening to this, dear listener, we will already have some cool art put up there. I'm not quite sure who drew it, but I really like it. So, whoever that is, I think you should shower them with praise.
Steven.
And just, they probably have low self-esteem. So,
He
go out
must
there
be
and give them a hug.
really good at art and have a very attractive face.
That's right. A very attractive face.
So, wrapping back around, any final thoughts from anyone on EDH, Magic the Gathering, the Amonkhet spoilers, any of the controversy, our future plans, anything?
I like magic.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. I like it too.
That's a good point.
No,
I'm really excited.
come up with your own point.
Oh, go ahead.
No, come up with your own point. You can't piggyback off mine.
It's too late. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.
I'm really excited for the deck techs because, especially if we do it every week, because I think we all build. I enjoy all of our builds, and it's going to be really fun to sit down and get to hear about why we each use the cards that we use, because every EDH deck out there has a little bit of the builder in it, and it's all different reasons that people use different cards, and I'm really excited to hear about all those from everyone.
Yeah, and it'll push me at least to build more frequently than I have been, and hopefully put out a lot more decks so that we can get maybe some live play videos with a lot of variety in them.
Agreed.
It won't push me, listener. Go ahead and get used to the fact that I'm super lazy.
Well, I guess that'll about wrap everything up. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. If you want to follow us, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/undercitymtg, twitter.com/UC Commander. And if you're listening on
.gov.
the what?
.gov.
.gov.
.gov, of course. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we would love to hear from you, so please email us at undercitycommander@gmail.com. You can email us topics you want us to cover. You can ask us questions. Whatever you want to email us about.
Cannot ask us questions.
Do what, Steven?
You cannot ask us questions.
They can, in fact, ask us questions.
Only statements.
You can ask us questions.
See, you can ask us questions, folks. We want your questions. We need them. Give us content.
Yay.
Yeah, do our jobs for us.
Of course. All right, guys. Thank you.